Welcome to a new e-learning paradigm, AplusMap.ai. All right, welcome back to the Explainer. So I want you to think about the last time you really had to study. I mean, really study. What if I told you that all that stuff you did, the highlighting, the rereading, what if it's actually holding you back? Yeah. Today we're going to dig into why it is absolutely time for a major upgrade to how we learn. So let me just ask you this straight up. Does your study routine feel, kind of stuck in the past? You know that feeling, right? That whole cycle of cramming, rereading, and then poof, you forget most of it the second the test is over. If that's hitting a little too close to home, well, you are definitely not alone.
Okay, so what's going on here? It really boils down to this huge disconnect. I mean, think about it. Technology has completely flipped our world on its head. How we work, how we hang out with friends, everything. But when it comes to the actual way we learn, it's like it's barely budged at all.
And here's a wild way to think about it. You've got AI that's literally revolutionizing every industry out there. And yet, when it's time to hit the books, we're pulling out strategies that our grandparents would probably recognize. Seriously, that right there, that's the central paradox we've got to unpack.
Now, you might be thinking, okay, I get it. The answer is just more tech, right? Throw more iPads in the classroom. But, that's actually a really common mistake. The real problem isn't the tools. It's the fact that we're using all this shiny new technology to run these really old, really ineffective learning habits. It's like putting a brand new engine in a car with wooden wheels.
And this is what that paradox looks like, in real life. We swap a whiteboard for an iPad. We trade a paper notebook for a laptop, but the core approach, it stays exactly the same. We're still just passively watching lectures, trying to memorize a bunch of facts, and basically just crossing our fingers and hoping it all sticks for the test. It's a classic case of upgrading the hardware without ever upgrading the software. The software in our own heads.
So, this gets us to the absolute heart of the matter. The real goal here isn't about changing what we use to learn. It's about fundamentally changing how we learn. It's a massive shift away from just consuming information to actually actively building our own knowledge.
Okay, so how do we actually do that? How do we make that jump from being passive to being active learners? Well, one of the most powerful places to start is with a technique that basically forces our brains to connect the dots visually. And that tool is the mind map.
Now, look, mind mapping itself isn't some brand new radical idea. But what is new, and what's really exciting, is how we can supercharge it with today's tech. So what is it? It's basically a way to organize information visually, so you can see not just the isolated facts, but how they all link up and create the big picture. You're not just listing things, you're building a mental model of the entire subject.
And that's where the real magic happens. It gets you beyond just a boring list of facts. When you're making a mind map, you're forced to find the connections, to build the structure yourself. And that's what turns learning from this passive thing, memorizing stuff, into an active process of construction. It's the difference between renting information for an exam versus actually building a permanent framework in your mind where that knowledge can live.
And it really all boils down to this one simple phrase: learn actively, not passively. I mean, think about it like this. Watching a cool travel show on TV, that's passive. But actually drawing the map for the trip yourself, that's active. Sure, the TV show is entertaining, but only drawing the map gives you the real knowledge you need to actually find your way.
But here's the thing. A great technique like mind mapping is awesome, but it's really just one piece of the puzzle. To truly bring our studying into the 21st century, we've got to think bigger. We need a whole new toolkit, right? An integrated system where every single part works together to help us learn smarter.
So what does that look like? Well, a really great learning ecosystem would guide you through this natural flow. So maybe you start with the big picture stuff, using a really visual book or some engaging videos. Then, once you've got the overview, you jump into active practice, maybe a website with exercises, and of course, those mind maps. And then, and this is the cool part, you get personalized help, like from an AI tutor that helps you with the exact spots where you're getting stuck. The whole point is that every stage builds on the one before it. It's a complete journey.
And the point of a system like this isn't to shove everyone down the exact same rigid path. No, it's the total opposite. It's all about creating a flexible personal toolkit that actually adapts to you. You get to pick and choose the pieces you need, exactly when you need them, to build your own unique road to understand.
All right, let's just zoom out for a second. Why does all this matter so much? Right now, more than ever. Well, it's because the world we're all preparing to live and work in it's fundamentally different from the world those old study habits were designed for.
And the single biggest reason for that change? It's right there. It's AI. Think about it. When you can look up any fact in a split second, the value of just memorizing facts, it drops through the floor. The skills that actually matter now are things like understanding the big picture, making creative connections between ideas, and solving new problems. And guess what? Those are the exact skills that active learning helps you build.
So at the end of the day, all these tools, all these new ideas, they all come back to a really simple, human-centered goal. It's not about the tech for tech's sake. It's about a genuine hope to help people, to help you learn better and more effectively in a world that's really starting to demand it. So I'm going to leave you with this question to chew on. In a world that's being totally reshaped by AI and these digital tools, what does it even mean to learn anymore? And more importantly, how are you going to adapt your own methods, not just to survive, but to really thrive? Thanks so much for joining me on The Explainer.
We hope you're excited for what's next. For more learning materials, please visit aplusmap.ai.